Ambassador Crixtall stood tall in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. His blue skin gleamed under the bright lights as he looked down at the other alien representatives. The chamber was huge, with seats for thousands of different species. From across the galaxy, today they had one goal in mind. "The humans are becoming too bold," Crixtall said, his voice echoing through the room. "They want more colonies. They want more trade routes. Soon they will want seats on this very council." Many aliens nodded their heads. The humans had been trouble since they first left their small blue planet. They asked too many questions. They explored too much. They did not follow the rules that other species had followed for thousands of years. "What do you suggest?" asked General Voxstar, a red-scaled reptilian from the Draco system. His yellow eyes glowed as he spoke. Crixtall smiled, showing his sharp, white teeth. "I have found the perfect solution. We give them exactly what they want. A new world to colonize." "Which world?" asked Dr. Melira, a tall gray alien with 4 arms. "Tartarus Prime," Crixtall announced. The chamber fell silent. Every alien knew about Tartarus Prime. It was death itself made into a planet. The temperature could freeze metal solid or melt it into liquid within hours. Acid storms rained from the sky every day. The air would burn the lungs of any creature that tried to breathe it. The gravity was so strong that most aliens could not even stand up on its surface. "You want to send them to a Class 0 world?" Dr. Melira asked, her voice shaking. "That is not colonization. That is execution." "Exactly," Crixtall replied. "But they asked for a colony world. We are simply giving them one. When they fail and ask to leave, we will have proof that humans are not ready for expansion beyond their current systems." General Voxstar laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "Clever. The humans pride themselves on being tough. They cannot refuse the challenge without losing face." "How long do you think they will last?" asked another council member. 3 days, Crixtall said confidently. "Maybe a week if they are very lucky. No species has ever survived more than a few hours on Tartarus Prime." The vote was quick. The Galactic Council agreed to offer Tartarus Prime to the humans as their next colony world. They would present it as a great honor, a chance to prove human strength and determination. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his office at the Space Command headquarters. He was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had led 3 successful colony missions before. Now they wanted him to lead another one. "Tartarus Prime," he said, reading the file on his computer screen. "Never heard of it." "It just opened up," said Admiral Patricia Stone, his commanding officer. She was an older woman with gray hair and a stern face. "The Galactic Council offered it to us directly. They say it is a great honor." Jake frowned as he read more details. The planet had extreme weather. The gravity was 3 times stronger than Earth. The atmosphere was toxic. The temperature swung from freezing cold to burning hot every few hours. "This looks dangerous," Jake said. "All colony worlds are dangerous at first," Admiral Stone replied. "But the Council believes we can handle it. They specifically requested our best team." Jake nodded slowly. He knew his crew was good. Lisa Rodriguez was the best engineer he had ever worked with. She could fix anything or build something new. From spare parts, Dr. Sam Turner knew more about biology and life forms than anyone else in the fleet. Alex Hayes had kept them all safe on dangerous missions before. "When do we leave?" Jake asked. 2 weeks. The ship New Horizon is being loaded with supplies now. Jake stood up and socked to the window. He could see the shipyard where the New Horizon sat waiting. It was a good ship, built for long missions to difficult places. But something about this mission felt wrong. "Admiral," Jake said, Why would the Council give us their best available world? They have never been that generous before. Admiral Stone was quiet for a moment. Maybe they are finally ready to accept us as equals in the galaxy. Jake did not believe that, but he kept his thoughts to himself. Orders were orders. 2 weeks later, the New Horizon lifted off from Earth with a crew of 200 people. Jake stood on the bridge and watched his home planet grow smaller through the main window. Lisa Rodriguez worked at her station, checking all the ship's systems. Dr. Sam Turner organized his laboratory and medical supplies. Alex Hayes trained security teams for whatever they might face. The journey to Tartarus Prime took 3 months. During that time, Jake studied everything he could find about the planet. The more he read, the more worried he became. No other species had ever tried to live there. Automated probes sent to the surface had been destroyed within hours. "Captain," Lisa said one day, "I have been looking at the planet data. This place is worse than anything we have faced before." "I know," Jake replied, "but we have good people and good equipment. We will find a way." Dr. Sam Turner joined them on the bridge. "I have been thinking about the biological challenges. The acid in the atmosphere will eat through most materials. The temperature changes will kill most Earth plants and animals." "What? About the gravity?" Alex Hayes asked as he walked up to them. 3 times Earth normal. That means everything weighs 3 times more. A person who weighs 150 pounds on Earth will weigh 450 pounds there. Jake looked at his crew. These were the best people he knew, and they were all worried. That made him worried too. "We knew this would not be easy," Jake said. "But humans have survived in difficult places before. We lived through ice ages and deserts and deep ocean trenches. We will find a way to live on Tartarus Prime too." As the New Horizon approached the planet, Jake could see why the aliens called it a Hellworld. The planet was covered in dark clouds that swirled with angry red lightning. Even from space, it looked like a place where nothing should be able to live. But Jake and his crew were human. They did not know yet that this was exactly what the aliens were counting on. The New Horizon shook as it entered the atmosphere of Tartarus Prime. Jake Morrison gripped his captain's chair as the ship fought against the planet's strong gravity and violent winds. Lightning crashed against the hull, and the whole ship groaned under the pressure. "Landing zone ahead," called out Kate Williams from her communication station. She was a young woman with red hair, who usually stayed calm in dangerous situations. Today, her voice was tight with worry. Through the main window, Jake could see the surface of Tartarus Prime. It looked like a nightmare. The ground was black rock covered with pools of bubbling liquid. Steam rose from cracks in the earth. In the distance, a massive storm moved across the landscape, dropping what looked like green rain. "That is not water," Dr. Sam Turner said, reading his instruments. "The rain is sulfuric acid. Concentration levels are deadly to human skin." "How deadly?" Jake asked. "It would burn through your suit in minutes," Sam replied. Lisa Rodriguez worked quickly at her engineering station. "Setting us down near those rock formations," she said, pointing to a group of tall stone pillars. "They should give us some protection from the wind." The New Horizon landed hard. Even with the ship's strong landing gear, the impact threw everyone forward in their seats. The gravity was crushing. Jake felt like he weighed as much as a small car. "Everyone stays inside until we know more," Jake ordered. "Lisa, how are our shields holding up? The acid rain is already eating at the outer hull," Lisa said, checking her readings. "We have maybe 6 hours before it burns through to the important systems." Alex Hayes stood up slowly, fighting against the heavy gravity. "We need to get people into environmental suits and start setting up a base camp. We cannot stay in the ship," Jake nodded. "Sam, What do we need to know about the air outside? Dr. Sam Turner checked his instruments again. The atmosphere is mostly nitrogen and sulfur compounds. Oxygen levels are too low for humans. The pressure is twice what we are used to. And the temperature right now is 89 degrees Celsius. How hot is that? Asked Ben Parker, the ship's geologist. He was a big man with a thick beard, but even he looked worried. Hot enough to cook an egg, Sam answered. But in 3 hours, when the sun goes down, it will drop to minus 60 degrees Celsius. Kate Williams shook her head. This place really is trying to kill us. Despite the danger, Jake felt a spark of determination. We have dealt with hostile environments before. Lisa, start modifying our temporary shelters for acid resistance. Sam, figure out what we need for life support systems. Alex, get teams ready to move equipment. The next few hours were the hardest any of them had ever experienced. Moving in the heavy gravity was exhausting. Every step felt like carrying a heavy pack up a steep mountain. The environmental suits were bulky and made everything even more difficult. Lisa Rodriguez led a team to set up the first shelter. They had brought prefabricated buildings that were supposed to be quick and easy to assemble. But the acid rain started falling before they could finish. Within minutes, the metal began to smoke and bubble. The standard materials are not going to work, Lisa shouted over the sound of the storm. We need to get back to the ship. The team ran back to the New Horizon, but Ben Parker slipped on the wet rocks. The heavy gravity slammed him down hard, and his environmental suit tore on the sharp stone. Acid rain immediately started eating through the fabric. Ben is down, Alex Hayes called out. He reached the fallen geologist first and saw the damage. His suit is compromised. We need to get him inside now. Dr. Sam Turner was already running with his medical kit. Together, they carried Ben back to the ship. The acid had burned through his suit and reached his skin, leaving angry red marks on his back and arms. The burns are not too deep, Sam said, as he treated Ben in the medical bay. But we were lucky. A few more seconds, and it would have been much worse. That night, as the temperature dropped to deadly cold levels, the crew of the New Horizon gathered in the main meeting room. Everyone looked tired and worried. They had been on the planet for 6 hours, and they had already almost lost someone. This is impossible, said Kate Williams. How are we supposed to build a colony here? The aliens knew, said Alex Hayes. They knew this planet would kill us. That is why they offered it to us. Jake looked around at his crew. These were good people who had volunteered to risk their lives for humanity's future among the stars. He would not let them down. Maybe the aliens were right about this planet being deadly, Jake said. But they were wrong about us. Humans have lived in places that other species thought were impossible. We lived in the frozen Arctic and the burning desert. We built cities underwater and in space. Lisa Rodriguez nodded slowly. The captain is right. We just need to think differently. Instead of fighting the planet, maybe we need to work with it. What do you mean? Asked Sam Turner. The acid rain dissolves our standard materials, Lisa explained. But what if we could find materials that the acid does not affect? This planet has been here for millions of years. The rocks and minerals here have survived the acid rain all that time. Ben Parker, despite his injuries, sat up straighter. I collected some rock samples before the storm hit. Some of these minerals are unlike anything we have seen before. Doctor, Sam Turner had an idea too. I brought samples of Earth bacteria with us for biological research. What if some of them could survive in this environment? Life finds a way to adapt to the strangest places. Over the next few days, they began to experiment. Lisa mixed local minerals with their building materials, creating new compounds that could resist the acid rain. Sam discovered that certain bacteria from Earth's most extreme environments could not only survive in Tartarus Prime's toxic atmosphere, but actually seemed to thrive in it. The work was slow and dangerous. Every trip outside the ship was a risk. The crushing gravity made everyone tired quickly. The temperature swings from hot to cold cracked equipment and made simple tasks difficult. But slowly, they began to make progress. Lisa created a shelter that could withstand the acid storms. Sam developed filters that could pull clean air from the toxic atmosphere. Alex organized teams that learned to work efficiently in the heavy gravity. On the 7th day, Jake sent a message back to Earth and the Galactic Council. "New horizon to Earth Command," he said, speaking into the communications array. "We have established our first permanent structure on Tartarus Prime. Conditions are challenging, but the crew is adapting well. We are beginning extended surface operations tomorrow." He did not mention the injuries, the equipment failures, or the sleepless nights spent figuring out solutions to impossible problems. He also did not mention that they were starting to understand something that the aliens had not expected. Humans were very good at surviving in places where they were not supposed to survive. As Jake looked out at the harsh landscape of Tartarus Prime, with its acid storms and crushing gravity and toxic air, he felt something he had not expected to feel. He felt like they were going to make this work. 3 months had passed since the New Horizon landed on Tartarus Prime. Ambassador Krikstal sat in his office, expecting to receive news of human failure at any moment. Every day he checked for emergency evacuation requests or distress signals. Every day he found nothing. They should have given up by now, he muttered to himself, staring at his communication device. On Tartarus Prime, Jake Morrison stood outside the first permanent human settlement without needing an environmental suit. The air around him was clean and breathable, filtered through a system that Dr. Sam Turner had developed using modified Earth bacteria. The bacteria ate the toxic gases and produced oxygen, creating a bubble of safe atmosphere around their buildings. "Captain, you need to see this," called Lisa Rodriguez from across the settlement. She had been working on a new project for weeks, and today it was finally ready to test. Jake walked over to where Lisa stood next to a tall metal tower. The structure looked simple, but he knew that Lisa never built anything that was just simple. "What does it do?" Jake asked. Lisa grinned and pointed up at the dark clouds gathering overhead. "Storm coming in about 10 minutes. Watch." The acid storm hit right on schedule. Green rain fell from the sky, the same deadly acid that had nearly killed Ben Parker on their first day. But instead of taking cover, Lisa stood calmly next to her tower. The acid rain hit the tower, and something amazing happened. The metal did not dissolve. Instead, channels in the tower collected the acid and directed it into underground storage tanks. Lights began to glow along the tower's length. "It is a power generator," Lisa explained. "The acid rain reacts with minerals we mined from the local rock. The reaction creates electricity. The more acid rain we get, the more power we generate." Jake stared at the tower in amazement. "You turned the thing that was trying to kill us into our power source." "Exactly," Lisa said, looking very pleased with herself. Across the settlement, Dr. Sam Turner was having his own breakthrough. He stood in what looked like a greenhouse, but instead of normal earth plants, strange new hybrids grew in rows of containers. These plants had green leaves like earth vegetables, but their roots were different, adapted to survive in Tartarus Prime's unique soil. The bacteria were just the beginning, Sam explained to Jake when the captain came to visit. "I started experimenting with our food crops, trying to help them survive in this environment. But something unexpected happened." Sam led Jake to a section where tomatoes grew on modified vines. The tomatoes were larger than any Jake had ever seen, and they glowed with a soft blue light. The local minerals in the soil react with our earth plants in interesting ways, Sam continued. These tomatoes are not only safe to eat, they are more nutritious than anything we could grow on Earth. The blue glow comes from the same compounds that make them so healthy. How much food can you grow? Jake asked. More than we need, Sam replied. This soil is incredibly rich once you know how to work with it. We could feed 10 times our current population. Meanwhile, Alex Hayes had been working on security and defense. The planet's extreme weather had taught him to think differently about protection. Instead of fighting against the environment, he learned to use it as an ally. The key is timing, Alex explained to his security team. They stood on a hill overlooking their settlement, watching another acid storm approach. Most species would see this storm as a threat, but for us, it is the perfect defensive barrier. Alex had developed a system of sensors and warning devices that could predict when and where the acid storms would hit. By timing their activities around the storms, the humans could use the deadly weather as a natural defense against any hostile visitors. Any ship trying to attack us would have to land during a storm window, Alex said. Their equipment would not survive the acid rain long enough to be a threat. Tony Chun, the mining specialist, had made the most surprising discovery of all. He had been exploring the cave systems beneath the settlement, looking for useful minerals. What he found changed everything. Captain, Tony said, barely able to contain his excitement. You need to come down to the deep mines. Jake followed Tony into the tunnel system they had carved into the mountain. The walls glowed with veins of strange crystalline material. Jake had never seen anything like it. What is it? Jake asked. Quantum crystals, Tony replied. The rarest and most valuable material in the galaxy. Most worlds have tiny deposits that take decades to mine. This planet has more quantum crystals than the rest of the known galaxy combined. Jake stared at the glowing crystals. He knew that quantum crystals were essential for faster-than-light travel and advanced technology. Every spacefaring species needed them, but they were incredibly rare and expensive. How much is down here? Jake asked. Enough to power every starship. In human space for 1,000 years, Tony said. And that is just what I have found so far. That evening, Jake called a meeting of all the senior staff. They gathered in the main community building, a structure built from local materials that could withstand anything Tartarus Prime could throw at them. In 3 months, we have done what the Galactic Council thought was impossible, Jake said. We have not just survived on this planet, we have thrived. Lisa Rodriguez nodded. The power generation systems are working better than I hoped. We are actually producing excess energy. The food production is ahead of schedule, added Dr. Sam Turner, and the air filtration system is expanding the breathable area around our settlement every day. Alex Hayes had security news too. I have been monitoring galactic communications. No one knows how well we are doing here. The other species still think we are struggling to survive. What about the crystals? Jake asked Tony Chun. The mining. Operation is just getting started, Tony replied. But we could be shipping quantum crystals within 6 months. The profits would make humanity one of the richest species in the galaxy. Jake looked around at his team. 3 months ago, they had been struggling just to stay alive. Now they were building something that could change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. There is something else, Jake said. I have been receiving messages from Earth. Other colony ships want to come here. Word is spreading that Tartarus Prime might not be the death trap everyone thought it was. Kate Williams, who had been monitoring communications, spoke up. I have been intercepting some. Alien transmissions, too. The Galactic Council is getting worried. They expected us to fail by now. Let them worry, said Alex Hayes. They sent us here to get rid of us. Instead, they gave us the best planet in the galaxy. Jake smiled as he looked out the window at their growing settlement. Acid rain fell from the sky, powering their generators. Modified earth plants grew in the toxic soil, producing more food than they needed. Underground, quantum crystals waited to be mined. And somewhere in space, the aliens who had tried to destroy them were starting to realize they had made a terrible mistake. "Send a message to Earth," Jake ordered Kate Williams. "Tell them we are ready for the next wave of colonists. Tartarus Prime is open for business." 6 months after the humans landed on Tartarus Prime, Ambassador Crixtel finally decided to visit the planet himself. He expected to find graves and abandoned equipment. Instead, his ship's sensors showed something that made no sense. "There are cities down there," reported his pilot, a nervous young Zephyrian named Velkar. "Multiple settlements. And they are growing." Crixtal stared at the screen in disbelief. The planet's surface, which should have been empty except for human corpses, was covered with buildings and roads. Lights glowed in organized patterns. Ships moved between different settlements. "This is impossible," Crixtal whispered. "Sir," Velkar said, "we are receiving a communication from the surface." "Put it through," Crixtal ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. It was Jake Morrison, but he looked different than he had 6 months ago. He was tanned and healthy, standing in what appeared to be a comfortable office with windows that showed a bustling city outside. "Ambassador Crixtal," Jake said with a smile, "welcome to New Haven City. We have been expecting you." "Expecting me?" Crixtal sputtered. "We monitor all ship traffic in this system," Jake replied. "Would you like to come down for a tour? I think you will find our progress very interesting." Crixtal wanted to refuse, but he had to see this for himself. An hour later, his shuttle landed at what the humans called New Haven Spaceport. The landing pad was made of some kind of black material that seemed to absorb the acid rain without any damage. Jake Morrison met him at the shuttle, along with several other humans. None of them wore environmental suits. They breathed the air, as if it were perfectly safe. "How is this possible?" Crixtal asked, his voice muffled by his protective gear. "We learned to work with the planet instead of against it," Jake replied. "Would you like to see how?" Mike Davis, the environmental engineer, led the tour. He was a quiet man with graying hair who spoke about the planet's deadly features as if they were useful tools. "The acid storms were our first challenge," Mike explained as they walked through the city center. "But Lisa Rodriguez figured out how to turn them into our primary power source. See those towers?" Crixtal looked up at tall structures that reached toward the stormy sky. Even now, green acid rain was falling, but the towers seemed to drink it up eagerly. "Each tower generates enough electricity to power 1,000 homes," Mike continued. "The worse the storm, the more power we get. Last month's really bad storm gave us enough excess energy to run our entire mining operation for a week." They visited the food production centers next. Dr. Sam Turner showed them greenhouse complexes where earth plants grew alongside strange new hybrids. The plants were bigger and more colorful than anything Crixtal had ever seen. "The soil here is incredibly rich," Sam explained. "Once we figured out how to work with the local chemistry, we could grow anything. These tomatoes have 3 times the nutrition of Earth tomatoes. The corn grows twice as fast. We are actually exporting food to other human colonies now." Crixtal felt sick. The planet was supposed to kill the humans, not make them rich. Tour continued to the residential areas, where human families lived in comfortable homes. Children played in parks where modified earth trees provided shade. The air was clean and fresh, filtered by the same biological systems that had started as a desperate survival measure. "How many people live here now?" Crixtal asked. "About 50,000 in New Haven City," Jake replied. "Another 100,000 spread across our other settlements. More ships arrive every week. Other settlements?" Jake pointed toward the horizon. "Phoenix Station to the north, built around our main mining operation. Haven Valley to the south, where we do most of our agriculture. Stormbreak to the west, where we process the quantum crystals. Quantum crystals? Crickstall's voice cracked. Tony. Chun, the mining specialist, joined them for this part of the tour. He led them to an overlook where they could see the main mining complex. Massive machines carved into the mountain, pulling out loads of glowing crystalline material. This planet has the largest quantum crystal deposits in known space, Tony said proudly. We are mining enough crystals to supply the entire galaxy's needs for faster-than-light travel. Crickstall felt his world spinning. Quantum crystals were worth more than gold, more than any precious metal. The humans now controlled the galaxy's most valuable resource. The best part, Tony continued, is that the crystals form naturally in the planet's unique chemistry. The acid rain and extreme temperature changes actually help create more crystals over time. It is like the planet is a factory that produces them automatically. As evening approached, Jake led the group to a restaurant in the city center. The building was filled with humans eating, talking, and laughing. Children ran between the tables while their parents enjoyed meals made from local ingredients. 6 months ago, your people thought this planet would kill us, Jake said as they sat down for dinner. Now it has become humanity's most successful colony. Rachel Stone, one of the colony's pilots, joined them at the table. She was a young woman with short black hair and confident eyes. HFY supply runs between here and Earth, Rachel explained to Crickstall. Every trip, I carry news about how well we are doing. Other human colonies want to learn our techniques. Some alien species have even started asking questions about how we did it. What kind of questions? Crickstall asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. They want to know if we could help them colonize planets they thought were impossible. To live on, Rachel replied. Turns out, humans are really good at surviving in places other species cannot. After dinner, Jake took Crickstall to his office at the top of the city's tallest building. Through the large windows, they could see the lights of New Haven City stretching to the horizon. Above them, one of Lisa's power towers collected energy from a passing acid storm. Ambassador, Jake said, I want to thank you. Thank me? Crickstall was confused. You gave us the greatest gift any species has ever received, Jake explained. You gave us a planet that has made humanity one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. The quantum crystals alone are worth more than most species' entire economies. Crickstall realized with growing horror what had happened. The Galactic Council had tried to eliminate the human threat by sending them to die on an impossible planet. Instead, they had given humanity control of the galaxy's most valuable world. But why? Crickstall asked. Why did you not ask for help? Why did you not request evacuation? Jake smiled. Because we are human. When someone tells us something is impossible, we try to prove them wrong. When someone gives us the worst planet in the galaxy, we turn it into the best. As Crickstall prepared to leave Tartarus Prime, he knew he had to report back to the Galactic Council. But what could he tell them? That their plan had failed so completely that the humans were now the most successful species in known space? His shuttle lifted off from the spaceport, leaving behind a thriving human civilization on a world that was supposed to be uninhabitable. As they flew away, Crickstall could see the lights of New Haven City growing brighter in the darkness, powered by the very storms that were meant to destroy it. The humans had won. And they had done it by doing what humans did best, refusing to give up when everyone else said it was impossible. 1 year after landing on Tartarus Prime, Jake Morrison stood in the Grand Council Chamber of New Haven City. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of alien species, all wanting to meet with the humans who had achieved the impossible. Governor Morrison, said Ambassador Veltar from the Centauri Republic. My people are very interested in establishing trade relations with your colony. Jake had been promoted from captain to governor 6 months ago when it became clear that Tartarus Prime was becoming humanity's most important world. The colony now had over 2 million residents, with more arriving every day. We are always open to fair trade agreements, Jake replied diplomatically. What he did not say was that the aliens were desperate. The human colony on Tartarus Prime now controlled 78% of the galaxy's quantum crystal production. Every species that wanted to build faster-than-light ships had to deal with the humans' dot in the agricultural sector. Lovra Thompson had become famous across the galaxy for her work with modified crops. She stood in one of the massive greenhouse complexes, explaining her latest breakthrough to a group of visiting alien scientists. The key was understanding that this planet does not fight against life, Laura said, touching the leaves of a plant. It glowed with soft blue light. It just has different rules for how life works. Lavra had discovered that Tartarus Prime's unique chemistry could create crops that were not only more nutritious than anything grown on other worlds, but also grew faster and produced larger yields. Her team was now shipping food to dozens of star systems. These wheat plants produce grain with protein levels 3 times higher than standard varieties, Laura continued. The barley contains natural compounds that boost immune systems. Even the vegetables have properties that can help heal injuries faster. One of the alien scientists, a tall gray being with 4 arms, raised a question. Could these techniques work on other worlds with difficult environments? We are already testing them on 17 different planets, Lavra replied. What other species call harsh worlds, we call opportunities. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was meeting in emergency session. Ambassador Crixtall stood before the assembly, looking older and more tired than he had a year ago. The human situation has become problematic, Crixtall reported to the council. Problematic? General Voxtar laughed bitterly. They control most of the galaxy's quantum crystals. They produce food that is better than anything we can grow. They have turned your death world into the most prosperous colony in known space, double quotes. Dr. Malira spoke up from her seat. I warned that sending them to Tartarus Prime was too extreme. Now they have proven that they can survive anywhere. It gets worse, Crixtall continued. 17 different species have requested human assistance with colonizing worlds they previously thought were uninhabitable. The humans are not just surviving in impossible places. They are thriving and helping others do the same. The council chamber buzzed with worried conversations. The humans were supposed to be a minor species, limited to a few worlds near their home system. Instead, they had become the most adaptable and successful colonizers in the galaxy. Back on Tartarus Prime, Dr. Sam Turner worked in his laboratory with specimens from dozens of different worlds. His biological adaptation techniques had become so advanced that other species were sending him samples of their most challenging environments. The request from the Aquarii is interesting, Sam said to his assistant, a young woman named Jenny Cole. They want to know if we can help them adapt to life in the deep ocean trenches of Kepler 442b. Can we? Jenny asked. Probably, Sam replied, examining the water samples under his microscope. The pressure and chemistry are not that different from what we dealt with here. The main challenge will be creating breathing systems that work underwater. Sam had become the galaxy's leading expert on biological adaptation. His techniques for modifying Earth organisms to survive in alien environments were being studied by scientists across hundreds of worlds. In the communications center, Kate Williams monitored messages from across human space. Her job had changed from managing colony communications to coordinating with Earth's growing diplomatic corps. Governor, Kate called to Jake, we have 3 more requests for colony assistance. The Dracos want help with a high-gravity world. The Vegan Federation is asking about survival techniques for radiation-heavy planets. And the Altair Republic wants to know if we can help them establish mining operations on asteroid fields. Jake nodded. Set up meetings for next week. And send word to Earth that we need more colonial development teams. The truth was that humanity's success on Tartarus Prime had changed everything. Other species had always thought of humans as average. Not particularly strong, not especially smart, not adapted for any extreme environment. But what they had missed was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt and find solutions when facing impossible challenges. Tony, Chun's mining operations had expanded far beyond anyone's dreams. The quantum crystal mines now employed over 100,000 people and produced more crystals than the rest of the galaxy combined. But Tony had also discovered something else in the deep tunnels. "Governor, you need to see this," Tony said, leading Jake into the deepest level of the mines. They rode an elevator down through 2 miles of solid rock, past layers of crystal formations and underground rivers of processed minerals. At the bottom, Tony led Jake to a massive cavern filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with their own light. "These are not just quantum crystals," Tony explained. "They are some kind of natural computer system. The crystals store and process information. We think this planet has been recording data about the galaxy for millions of years." Jake stared at the glowing formations. If Tony was right, they had found something more valuable than all the quantum crystals combined, a natural database of galactic history and scientific knowledge. "Have you told anyone else about this?" Jake asked. "Just my core team," Tony replied. "But Governor, if other species learn about this, they might try to take the planet from us." Jake nodded grimly. Humanity's position in the galaxy was strong, but it was built on their success at surviving on Tartarus Prime. If other species decided the planet was too valuable to leave in human hands, there could be trouble. 3 months later, the situation came to a head. Ambassador Krickstall returned to Tartarus Prime, but this time he was not alone. A fleet of ships from 12 different species waited in orbit around the planet. "Governor Morrison," Krickstall said as he met with Jake in the Capitol building, "the Galactic Council has decided that Tartarus Prime is too important to remain under the control of a single species." "Is that so?" Jake replied calmly. "The quantum crystals are essential for galactic commerce," Krickstall continued. "Your people have done excellent work here, but the galaxy needs shared access to these resources." Jake looked out the window at New Haven City. 2 million humans lived and worked. Here now, they had built something amazing from nothing, turning a death world into a thriving civilization. "Ambassador," Jake said, "I have a counterproposal." "What kind of proposal?" "We keep Tartarus Prime," Jake said simply. "In exchange, we offer our colonial expertise to any species that wants it. We will help you turn your impossible worlds into successful colonies." Krickstall frowned. "The Council wants direct access to the crystals." "Then the Council can buy them from us," Jake replied, "at fair market prices, just like any other trade relationship." "And if we refuse?" Jake smiled. "Then you can try to take the planet from us. But remember, Ambassador, we are the species that turns death worlds into garden worlds. We are very good at defending places that other people think are impossible to hold." Over the next few weeks, the standoff continued. The alien fleet remained in orbit, while Jake negotiated with individual species. Some of the aliens wanted to fight for control of the planet. Others were more interested in learning human survival techniques. The breakthrough came when Dr. Melira contacted Jake directly. "Governor Morrison," she said during a private communication, "my people have 3 worlds we cannot colonize because of extreme conditions. If humans could help us establish successful colonies there, we would support your claim to Tartarus Prime in the Council." Within days, Jake had similar offers from 6 other species. They would recognize human control of Tartarus Prime in exchange for colonial assistance with their own difficult worlds. It seems, Jake told his senior staff, that everyone wants to know how to do what we did here. Lisa Rodriguez laughed. A year ago, they thought we would die here in 3 days. Now they want to hire us as survival consultants. The irony is, perfect, added Alex Hayes. They tried to get rid of us by giving us an impossible challenge. Instead, they made us the galaxy's experts at solving impossible problems. 6 months later, Jake stood once again in the Galactic Council chamber. But this time, he was there as an equal, representing humanity's interests as a major galactic power. The Human Colonial Assistance Program has been remarkably successful, reported Dr. Milira. They have helped establish thriving settlements on 15 worlds previously thought uninhabitable. Ambassador Krigstol looked older and more resigned. The Zephyrian Republic has also benefited from human expertise. Our new colony on Rigel 7 is exceeding all expectations. Jake listened to the reports, WI.